I was cheated on, got laid off from my job. It was a coffee cart, but still. Then crashed my car. So it was like literally within like a month. It was just like.
Did you do over $15 million?
You left some in there.
I might die.
Honestly, all my previous relationships, I was always like the breadwinner. I'm actually working on 2 things right now. One thing I can't talk about. I mean, it's very like far off, but it's something I want to do for a while.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. Don't be sour. I'm your host, Max Tuning. This is episode number 2, and I'm here with the amazing Heidi Summers, also known as Buffbunny. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Very excited about today.
We've actually made 2 upgrades. Episode 1 was your lovely other half.
All right.
Not only is the sign, we have a dimmer on it.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. That's a big upgrade.
Rich.
Yeah. And then behind me, painted the wall black. That really isn't an upgrade for you. It's more of an upgrade for me. But anyway, the first episode on this did super, super well. It's a lot to live up to, but I believe we can do it.
I got big shoes to fill. I'm going to try.
And I got some water in case you get a little thirsty, a little parched.
I thought there was whiskey, but.
No, this isn't a drinking podcast. I'm just kidding. It is a drinking podcast.
Yes.
So we like to, calm some nerves.
Love that.
With a lovely shot of here. And now Heidi loves Crown Royal.
Big fan.
Big fan of Crown Royal.
Fan.
Okay, because normally
you're drinking this too?
I'm doing it. I hate this stuff. I'm more of a vodka or a tequila person. Why do you like I've never met. Is that what people like? Just people drink in Alaska? Just whiskey?
Yeah, it was my first drink ever at like 16. I was 16.
That's illegal.
It was yeah. I mean, what? No. Are we doing this raw? There's no Diet Coke or anything?
No, this is the great thing. This shot, there's no chaser.
Okay.
It's just to get the raw emotions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
That might be the first shot of whiskey that I've ever done without a chaser or anything.
Did you like it?
No, I hated that.
Go through your mouth.
I feel like if I had a lighter right now, because
you probably could.
I know.
Oh, that was yummy. Liked it.
Anyway, so Heidi, tell me a little. I know a good amount about you, but what I'm excited about on this show is to find out more about you, because we have never really sat down and had a heart-to-heart, a deep conversation, right?
I feel like we have. One time we did drink a whole bottle of tequila with Lexi.
We probably talked about my girl problems, which I don't have anymore.
Yes, we did. Congratulations. You're dating my friend.
If it wasn't for you, I don't think I would have
welcome.
ever met the Lommel, as they will say.
Lommel?
Love of my life.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cute. Adorable.
What I like to ask people, I say I've been doing this show like forever now. What I like to ask people on this show is if you were to if someone was like, what do you do for work? Who are you? Let's say you're in an Uber and they want a really in-depth answer. Explain who you are, what you do. Who is Heidi Summers?
That's a good question. It kind of depends on the Uber driver, if you know what I mean. But usually I say that I own an apparel brand.
Okay.
I start kind of asking more questions, and then
what kind of clothes? Like t-shirts?
Athletic wear.
Oh.
Tailored around women. And we're very inclusive and diverse. And it's woman owned and operated. Love that. And then usually as the conversation goes on, I'll be like, yeah, I'm also a YouTuber. Do a lot of things. Do a lot of the things.
What's the company called?
Buffbunny Collection.
Buffbunny Collection.
Yes.
And you're also called Buffbunny.
Yes. Most people call me by my name though now.
You are?
Yeah.
You're no longer, they've
should
separated.
I change my Instagram profile? I feel like I should.
I think you
but
absolutely
someone else
should.
has my name. So
I don't know.
One.
This is tough. You've been Buffbunny for so long on Instagram.
Yeah,
Maybe
never
it just makes sense. And if they search
Yeah.
Buffbunny, it gets to both. I want to learn more about the
True.
name, but we're gonna get a little bit more into that. I noticed on that question, you said, do you say you're a business owner, person who makes clothing first, and then you said, and I also make YouTube videos. Why have you kind of separated? Do you see yourself more as a business owner now rather than an influencer who has a business?
Yeah, I would say when people ask me like what all I do, I'm kind of like, okay, I'm a business owner. I'm like CEO. I'm also right now I'm like marketing director, creative director. So like, I wear a lot of hats, obviously, as the team's growing.
You're not wearing any hats right now.
I'm definitely not wearing any hats. The sick headphones though, very nice quality. I am also a YouTuber, so I do a lot of things, but I would say like number one is business owner. I love owning a business. Love it.
And that's changed over time, right?
Yeah, I feel like in the beginning it was definitely more of like fitness influencer, kind of sharing what I eat, the workouts, lifestyle, things like that. But over time, I feel like I just love clothing. I love like creating pieces, and I love the campaigns and like the wild ideas and like shooting it. And I love like finding new women to shoot, if that makes sense. Like the other day I went up to this girl at Offline and I was like, hey, like you're cute. You want to model sometime? They probably think I'm hitting on them sometimes, but I love finding like new looks, I guess, with women. So yeah, I would say like I'm probably not as much of a fitness influencer anymore, but I'm trying to get back. It's just so hard to be consistent with YouTube. Honestly, you're killing it. You've been so consistent for the last, 10 years? 10 years,
yeah.
10 years. Very consistent. Sometimes I'll take breaks for like a couple months.
Just like sporadically?
Yeah, I'll be like, this is crazy. But I have a really great team at the moment. So now I'm finally able to step away. So actually Tuesdays and Thursdays are my content days.
You have specific days for content?
Yes. I'm like Tuesdays and Thursdays, I try not to book any appointments. And that's when I try to like edit my videos or create new content or just have like time away from the team so I can think of like creative ideas.
Do you think that on Tuesdays and Thursdays, the team knows that you're away, so the mice, they will play?
Oh, no. I have an operations director and she's like on it. She gives me updates. And then honestly, if anything, like today, like while I was getting my hair and makeup done, 2 of the employees came over and were like asking me questions and having like little meetings and everything. So
what happens?
But it's okay. I love it.
What happens if, let's say you have content days on a Tuesday and a Thursday and something comes up? Do you feel that, let's say Tuesday, I'm going to make a YouTube video or whatever, something comes up with your business that maybe
That's
seems
priority.
That's priority?
Yeah.
So would you not have any sort of guilt that like, hey, I set this part of my life and part of my week to do content and now something else is coming up. Now I'm not sticking to something that I told myself I was going to do, or you're just, no matter what, the business comes first, regardless of your own personal brand?
I would say it's a good mix. So that's why we have 2 days. Like if I just did one day, then I would probably get nothing done. But because it's 2 days a week, that's a good amount of time like that you're dedicating to like content, if you will. But there's been times where maybe the girls kind of know, like my assistant, she's like, okay, this is not priority, so I'm not going to put it on a Tuesday or Thursday. Or she's like, yikes, this is a little bit time sensitive. So she'll ask me, she's like, is it okay if I book it on Tuesday or Thursday? I'm like, yeah, go for it. I don't want to like put anything behind.
You know, I think I was watching a podcast from Nick Bear, and he had a good point. Something you said about, is this urgent? He had a good kind of like analogy with stuff. And this maybe, I think people like subconsciously maybe focus some of their thoughts around business on this. He said, if it's urgent and important, to do it immediate. If it's urgent but not important, delegate to someone else. And if it's not urgent and it's not important, don't do it.
Like that.
It makes a lot of sense,
Can you
right?
send me a podcast later?
I know, it makes a lot of sense. So but before we kind of dive into the business, because I don't know a lot about, besides what maybe myself as a consumer of the content that you create with the Buffbunny collection, I don't know a lot about the inside the business. I want to dive into that. But first, before we get to the business, we have to go back to your story, because I just know you as the super bubbly girl from Alaska. So tell people kind of like just kind of where you came from before social media.
Okay. Before social media. So I was born and raised in a very small town in Alaska, North Pole. And I would say I was very like secluded. My family had 6 kids. We were all homeschooled. And my mom actually decided to have me in the living room. So that's a popular thing in Alaska. I think it's very, very random to just like have kids in your living room.
She delivered you, or that's where you were conceived?
I was both. I hope my mom doesn't watch this. But yeah, so she had 3 of the kids. She just had them in the living room. I would just think that's wild.
A natural birth?
Yeah. No drugs, no epidural, nothing. Child.
Okay.
Yeah. So I went to public school when I was 16 and very awkward. I was very nervous, but I feel like it helped me a lot, like kind of come out of my shell. And then, you know, I worked, gosh, like 4 jobs, I think at one point, just like saving up money. Cause for me, like my parents having 6 kids, you know, they didn't have like extra income at all. So it was like always like hand-me-downs, and like we didn't have like the best, healthiest diet, if you will, because Alaska is very, it's like you basically have to import a lot of things in because it's winter for like 10 months out of the year.
And everything is just made by little elves.
Yes, precisely. You have to come to Alaska. We're actually going in August. You should come.
Every time Heidi goes to Alaska, I watch the videos, I watch the stories, and she's like, "Hey guys, it's negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit today," and
doesn't it sound like a great place?
It doesn't. I can't even wrap my head around how cold that is.
Yeah,
I can't even.
What's the coldest weather you've been in?
I don't know. Really cold in Virginia. What is that? Maybe in the teens.
In the teens.
You're like,
so never at 0. Never at negative.
Where would I go that's 0 degrees?
Colorado? Have you been snowboarding?
I guess. Is it that cold there?
Maybe.
Do Alaska folk like yourself go, we go swimming in the teens? Yes,
they do. My brother will wear like a t-shirt. Oh yeah, and snowboarding, like they do snowboarding in like tank tops in the teens. Because we'll snowboard up until like negative 20, and then we're like, it's a little cold.
And then
we're gonna stop.
So what made you leave the Santa's home base?
Santa's home base. I think a lot of people just kind of get stuck in Alaska. Either like you really love it and you find the love of your life, and it's just
Lommel.
You find the Lommel, and then you're like, this is the place for me. And I think it is a great place to like raise your family and kids. Just very cold, very secluded, not a lot to do. But I love going. I love going to visit my family. Right. I'm like, yes. But would I ever move back there?
You're a huge family person.
Love family. Very close with my family. So I think one year I actually went home like 3 times. And my mom was like, why don't you just come back? I was like, cold. But why did I go? I would say for a few reasons. I think I'd been trying to move to the lower 48 for a while, but a lot of people.
The lower 48? What is I've never met someone
that's... the States. Yeah. The lower 48 is like slang.
Like it's like you're coming from Canada or something, down below. Like they're going to
the lower 48. Yeah. So a lot of people that would go to the States, lower 48, they like either didn't make it, they'd either go back. Sometimes it's like hard because it's like a different country. Mm-hmm. Like the people are just like so kind and like so helpful for one another. And then I guess you just get used to like that lifestyle. Like my family would never move like down here. They're like, cool to visit, but Alaska is just like has our heart. But for me, I was always like, I want to go somewhere like big and warm, and I have like all these like ventures I want to do, and I love traveling. So when I finally had just booked the ticket. I remember it was like one section. It was like a couple months. I was cheated on, got laid off from my job. I mean, it was a coffee car, but still. Then crashed my car. So it was like literally within like a month. It was just like
downward
mess,
spiral.
just spiraling. And I was like, I think it's about that time. So then I booked a one-way ticket to San Antonio, which I had visited once. I was like, I think I liked it. And I think I had like 4 months. So I booked it 4 months, and I was like, I'm just going to figure it out until I get there.
Okay.
So that's what I did.
And is that when you started your social media journey?
So I moved to San Antonio, and I was going to school. At the time I was going to University of Alaska, and I was like, okay, I'm going to transfer to San Antonio and graduate. But I was like super into school. But when I moved to San Antonio, I gained 40 pounds.
40 pounds?
Yeah. Have you ever seen my photos? I don't have a lot.
No, I've not.
I was not 40 pounds heavier for very long, because I was like, oh my gosh.
Right.
I'm 5 foot. So like 40 pounds is a lot.
Yeah.
I think 40 pounds is a lot for you too, right?
40 pounds is a lot for I think anyone to gain kind of in a window of time.
Quick, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I blame Sonic. I lived right next to
the
Sonic.
hedgehog?
No.
The
food.
restaurant. Okay.
Yeah. Like the chili cheese dog, the American hot dogs, was it the jalapeno cheddar poppers, and then the breakfast sandwiches.
So it was
the
Sonic's
cheese,
fault that you gained weight.
The cream slush, yeah.
It wasn't the 12 hot dogs I was eating a day. It was the fact that Sonic
existed right next to me, and I blamed it.
Okay, so you moved to Texas at what age? You said you were in
I was 21.
Middle school. Okay, and you had not started social media?
No. I moved to San Antonio, gained 40 pounds. I was like, I need to make a change. Hated the gym. Mm-hmm. Hated it.
Me too.
Did you really?
No, I still do.
Okay. I kind of feel like that sometimes. I don't want to be here. But at that time, I was like, I hate the gym. So I would go in, didn't know what I was doing. Over the course of time, I just told myself, I was like, if I go really hard one day, burn a lot of calories, and I don't have to come the next day.
So
that kind of helped me.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, honestly, that's kind of like what I do sometimes even now if I'm really tired. I'm like, if I give it 150%, then I can skip the next day. That helped me back in the day.
Interesting tactic.
Yeah. It helped me especially in the beginning because I did not want to be there.
Right.
So over time, I liked it. I ended up liking it and I would go more. So then instead of like 3 times a week, then I would go 4 or 5. Then I was like, I'm going to do bodybuilding competition. And around that time is like when I started doing YouTube. I had a friend and he was like, hey, he did prank channels and like they popped off. Like he was like, you should do the same thing, but for like fitness. And I was like, I don't know if anyone
like
would really watch
prank
that.
videos.
Like MTV pranks.
Okay.
Like I think MTV posted him. Like he was killing it. So he's the one that kind of convinced me.
Not to interrupt, was his name Ashton Kutcher? Did he have a show called Punk'd?
No.
Okay. I didn't know.
Oh, dang. Is that still around?
No,
People still watch that?
No.
That was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was so good at that.
So you started YouTube first, this is early kind of social media days.
No, sorry. I started doing Instagram first, but I remember back in the day I was like doing yoga poses and I was like showing like my recipes. And then I think people had kind of asked, they're like, hey, can you make longer? They didn't have videos on Instagram at the time. It was like way back in the day.
Right.
It was like back when it was just photos. It was like, hey, can you show your workouts? And I was like, okay, I have to do that on YouTube. My friend Will was like, I think I was going to Pittsburgh and he was like, I'll just follow you around with the camera. We can show your workouts, whatever. So he kind of pushed me to do it. And I was like, I don't know. But after I did 1 or 2 videos, I really liked it. I was like, this is cool. And people could actually see the full workouts on YouTube versus Instagram. It was just photos.
So they kind of connected with you on YouTube, whereas Instagram. Okay. So then you just fell in love with posting stuff, or did you fall in love with like getting feedback from the people that were watching your videos or growing the audience, or what made you fall in love with the social medias?
The social medias. I would say, when I was doing it, I wasn't trying to make a career out of it. I was heavy into school. I was going to school full time and working full time and doing social media stuff. So it was a lot. I was kind of juggling. I did it more for fun because I guess whenever I was, losing the weight at the time, there wasn't really anyone on YouTube, like girls, just like fitness influencers. And so I guess for me, like I was getting all this like advice from guys whenever I was in the gym and working out. And some of it was great. And some of it I was like, And so when I started doing YouTube and Instagram, I was like, I want to give advice that I wish that I would have had when I started. So that's kind of what inspired me to share that. But as I was doing that, but as I was kind of sharing that advice, it's like it was very helpful to girls because there wasn't a lot at the time. Yeah. A lot of women kind of sharing tips and tricks in the gym, especially when you're lifting weights. Right. Because a big thing, even now, and me back then, it's kind of like, well, I don't want to get bulky. I don't want to get bulky.
I just want to tone.
Yeah, I was like, I just want to get toned.
I want tone muscles.
5 pounds. So because of that, I think girls really connected that way. They were like, okay, I feel more comfortable taking advice from you than a guy at the gym.
Right.
And so I think that's kind of what helped grow my YouTube and Instagram and everything. But I just did it for fun. And
so at what point did you stop doing it for funsies and move into, when did you start doing YouTube full time or you quit your job? Or not necessarily YouTube, but social media as a, influencer wasn't really the title back then. It was just like, I kind of dabble on Instagram and YouTube. And I don't know how you were making money back then, but like at what point did you quit your job and focus full time on, I guess, you as your own journey? Like,
I think it was 2015.
Okay.
I think when I finally quit, because I was working 2 jobs. So I was a surgical assistant for an implant specialist. And I think around the time I quit, because I had gained like a good following on YouTube and Instagram, but I loved what I did, although it was very long hours. I think some of the patients would come in and recognize me. And the doctors are like, what are they saying? I was like, ugh. And then I remember one time we were putting down a patient to go to sleep.
I was like, what were you doing?
Not me, like the doctor was.
Putting her down.
Yeah. We were putting them to sleep for surgery. And they were kind of like, aren't you like Buffbunny? Or they were kind of saying stuff. And I was like, I would get kind of shy about it. And the doctor's like, what did they say? I'm like, I don't know. They're out of it. Just put them down. So like, I think around that time I was like, okay, it's between there. And then I was also bartending on the weekend, like once a week. And I was kind of like, okay, if I stop doing these 2 jobs and I fully focus on social media and the sponsorships, because I was getting a lot of different sponsorships.
Right.
And I wanted to be able to like fully focus with those. and then also eventually have my own business. So I knew that I wouldn't be able to like give it my all until I quit my jobs.
How much money were you making at the point when you quit your jobs? How much money were you making from social media, if you can remember like a ballpark number, when you were like, I'm making enough now that I can, let's say, follow your dreams. You can like, we'll go into kind of fully believing in yourself. Like how much money a month were you making?
Let's see. I was sponsored by like 3 different companies, and just from that, like retainers before commission, it was like $10,000 a month.
Okay.
And then like YouTube, and then I was doing downloadable programs and coaching, probably additional like 10, 20 a month.
You're making 10 from, so you're making like 20 or more thousand a month back in 2015?
Yeah.
Oh my God, what was I doing? I didn't, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I mean, not necessarily just about like the money, but like when I started, similar to the time frame that you did, that kind of money for me wasn't even, I don't even want to say possible. Maybe I wasn't maximizing it. And I think it goes to show that you were able to not really capitalize, but find success in this financially to kind of like go all in on what you were doing. And that's amazing. That's wow.
Yeah. I waited a while, and even with those sponsorships, like I was still working full time, because in my head, I don't know if it's like an insecurity or just like whatever. I was like, okay, this isn't forever. I need to, still give my jobs 150% and then still be able to do these sponsorships and give it 150. Exactly. So it's like after a while, I was like, I remember I was like, I did a bikini competition. I was working 2 jobs, going to school full time, and trying to do YouTube and Instagram and have sponsorships. Yeah. There's a few mornings I cried.
And I mean,
like, I need a break.
When I was going through something similar to you, when I was deciding of, okay, I'm financially secure enough to quit my job. I don't know if, you're making more than I was when I quit my job, but I was at a point too of like, if I quit this job, I'm now going to make that money less, and I can balance it all and I can do it all. Yeah. I'll keep doing it, because maybe you're making another close to, 10,000 from that. And you're like, now I'm going to make less. I can balance it all. But I feel like it comes into, betting on yourself and kind of going in on everything you're doing. And this is before you started Buffbunny, right? The collection.
This is before I started Buffbunny collection.
And where did Buffbunny come from? The name. The
name?
Yeah, like you said at your job, people were calling you, you're that jacked rabbit, you're that Buffbunny.
Do you know what a jacked rabbit is?
A muscular.
Okay. Because a lot of people are like, you should do a guy's brand called Jacked Rabbit. I'm like, that brand is already taken.
Is it?
Very popular dildo.
What?
Yes.
Wow, I know all the dildos and I haven't heard of that one.
You haven't heard of that one? That's
no, not
literally
the
the most famous one.
Is that the one with like the
That's
it has
like
the extra
2
thing
on there, and like it's got like the big thing, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
The 2 bunny ears, yeah. So it's
okay. So it wasn't after dildo names, but where did Buffbunny come from, the name? This is before the clothing.
Before the clothing.
So then you named the clothing brand after yourself. That's kind of pretentious.
Yeah. Well, no, it wasn't after myself, but it kind of seems that way, I guess. But so I always liked the name, because when I started working out in the gym, I'm a little girly.
Right.
Okay. So whenever I started, I was like, okay, Buff is kind of like this hard, intense, sweaty, muscular side of me. And then Bunny is still being like soft and feminine,
right,
intelligent, like a bunny, the creatures. So it's kind of like having both in your life.
I think it's kind of like it's like an empowerment type of thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like you don't have to be like super girly in the gym, like, oh my God, but also it's like you don't have to be super masculine in the gym. It's kind of like you can be a little bit of both, or maybe you're a little bit more of one or the other. But I guess for me, like I'm very much in between.
Right.
Like, I embrace both.
When I think of like Buffbunny, the other thing that kind of comes to my head of like a name that reminds me of it is when people would snowboard and stuff, they would always refer to women on the slopes as like ski bunnies or like snow bunnies, right?
Oh, snow bunnies. Yeah.
So I think and it kind of was like just the girls, on the mountain. And now I think the Buffbunny, I think it's an amazing name.
Thanks.
First of all,
I think it's fun.
It's super fun. I mean, it's I think an amazing name for the clothing brand, but I never knew that you called yourself Buffbunny yourself before making the clothing.
I know. I think when I started the collection, I was like, do I start a new name or do I do this one? So my idea was to kind of have it take over, because I love the name so much. Mm-hmm. And I guess I just connected with the name so much. I was like, okay, it embraces me, but it also, like, a lot of other girls love the name. They're like, I just love that name. And I was like, well, I want to have like the brand called that. And then I was like, I'm going to change my name on Instagram, but someone else has my name. And I was like, well, what am I going to put?
Right. So,
Yeah.
okay. So you started the clothing and why did you do that? Because at the time you were working with the clothing brand Live Fit.
Yes.
At the time.
Yes.
Right. Shout out Randall Pitch.
Love Randall Pitch. Great person. And his Sarah, she's amazing. Loved Live Fit. I was with them for
right.
I'm not sure. And I loved the brand. I got to travel all over the world with them. They did a world tour and it was so great. But over time, I guess for me, I knew I wanted to start a brand. Live Fit mainly focused on, I would say, more streetwear. So definitely like a lot of tanks, a lot of tees.
They're very California vibe based. They do a great job of, targeting their market.
Yes. So a lot of cool graphics and everything. And they always had a lot of variety. But for me, I was like, okay, I want leggings and sports bras and stuff like that. So Randall was one of the first people that I actually went to. And I was like, hey, I want to do some t-shirts and some leggings and stuff like that. And we did have a meeting and he was super awesome. He was like, I will show you. And this is so cool about like the industry and like just connecting with good people.
Right.
He wanted to go into business at first. He was like, we could do it together. But I guess for me, I was like, I just want to do it on my own. But he was kind enough to like bring me to LA and just show me how their whole operations work. This is our distribution. This is how we do everything. And he's like, whether or not you decide to like partner together or you do it on your own, it's good for you to see the behind the scenes. And I was like, I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Obviously I ended up doing it like on my own, but then I tried to balance both companies for a while. And I remember I just feel bad because sometimes at expos, people would be like, oh, I want to buy Buffbunny. I'm like, you can Live It.
Yeah.
So I think over time we were kind of like, okay, we knew the time was coming. And Randall and Sarah were like, hey, we will keep you as long as we can, but we know eventually it does get a little bit like blended.
Right.
So I don't remember how long I stayed with them with Buffbunny Collection, but eventually I was like, hey, I'm always going to rep your brand. I actually just bought something from them recently. So like I still support their brand and love them, but they were very supportive of me going off and doing my own as well.
Okay. So that's when you started and you wanted to start, did you know that you wanted to start a clothing line or did you want to originally start with, I want some Buffbunny t-shirts?
So when I first started, I did merch, which is, everyone does that. Did you ever do the Max Tuning merch or anything?
I did the deadlift bra shirts.
Deadlift bra.
I used to have a silhouette
I need to see a
of
picture
me
of this.
deadlifting and people purchased it and it was a silhouette of me deadlifting. Imagine like on the front of you and it just said deadlift bra underneath.
Sick.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I don't think those would have sold if I did that.
No.
Mine were very basic. It was like the Bella Canvas classic tank, it's just like Buffbunny.
And did you go straight into like overseas manufacturing or did you just start with screen printing?
I started with screen printing and I had the idea, I was like, I could just buy the screen printing machine and do it myself in my living room. So actually I did buy a really shitty cheap machine.
You manually made your t-shirts or you did the design?
I did both. We made screens and then I tried to do it myself and I was like, I am paying someone to do this. It came out real bad.
Yeah, it's working smarter, not necessarily harder.
Exactly. And I remember I was like during prep too and I was like, it was very hard to do it manually. I was like, let's just get a machine. So I did the merch and it did really well. So during that time, whenever I was promoting it, I had a lot of people reaching out and they're like, hey, we want you to do joggers and leggings and sports bras and this and that. And I was like, okay. One of my favorite quotes, I don't know if this is from the Bible or not, but it's like, whatever your hand findeth to do, do with all thy might. That's very much me.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to like go all in. Because I would see other people, no shade. I would see other Instagrammers like on there.
Lots of shade.
All the shade. I would see them doing like leggings and stuff and they would kind of do that vinyl print on the side.
Ugh.
So not cute.
Ugh.
And I was like, those are so sheer. They had like the skinny little band at the top. I was like,
oh, I hate those.
Never.
Mm-mm.
Absolutely not. Not cute.
So you were making clothing. It was for the people, by the people, really. It was like for women who wanted to feel confident, look cute, look sexy in the gym. And you knew exactly what was missing in the market. And you were like, I got this. I know.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to make the legging for myself of what, and because I know that I'm like the demographic of people who like want something, but there's no one making it.
Yes. So at the time, there's also no woman companies, I guess.
Right.
Like there's a lot of clothing lines, but they were all by men, which we love men.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. But I was like, man, there's not really any like girl owners, you know,
there wasn't,
like female owners.
Because we came up in the same time, and I feel like we kind of are in the same timeline of events. And what's interesting is we maybe live in this kind of bubble where we only know the certain brands of the Gymshark, the this, the that, but there's obviously a lot of other people that try different stuff. But I at the time also was not aware of any. There's a bug in here. There's a bug in here.
There's a bug.
There's
get the bug.
So I agree with you. There wasn't not only a woman focused brand, but also maybe a woman led brand.
Yeah.
Where you were the face of it. You know, I feel like there probably was maybe some guys that started stuff to sell to women, but this was like for women by women. By a woman.
It really was. And so I honestly, if anything, like something I'm really good at is like, I love listening to people. So when people are like, oh, I want this, I was like, okay, I can make that happen. And then I started looking up manufacturers and like that whole process. And I would purchase from really high end. I was like, I'm not going to go to like, you know, the cheaper clothing places. I went to like really nice luxury athletic wear, and I would see like, okay, what's the breakdown? And then I started researching on my own, like different textiles. So people are like, oh, nylon spandex, it's all the same. It's like, no.
Yeah. How
do they weave it? What's the weight of it? The GSM, like the washes on it, the additions, like how much are they brushing? Is it a single brush? Is it a double brush? Is it on the inside? So I started doing a lot of research on
You're speaking Spanish to people right now.
like what all goes into making the perfect fabric.
Right.
And then performance versus brush. So I just did a lot of research, and then at the time I didn't have a designer. So I was just doing it my own and just scratch notes. I am not a good drawer. I don't have good handwriting either.
You started the empire from an idea, and then you launched it, and then you just kind of built it brick by brick.
Yeah. So I didn't have it all figured out. I was just kind of like, I want to do this for people. Like I want this. So in the beginning, it was definitely more tailored towards me. I was like, I want leggings and I want shorts and I want.
I think that's great because that's kind of how I work with my clothing brand is I make stuff that I want to wear.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, I may not make everything that appeals to every single type of person, but I'm making stuff that I want, that I would wear. And I think other people who have the same style or same vision of me of how I want to look and feel in the gym, out of the gym, that's who I'm catering to, because it's better to kind of focus in on who you're marketing to rather than trying to appeal to every single person.
Yeah, exactly. And you want to be able to like love the pieces when you wear them. And so like as we've grown, I still do that. Like I still love all the pieces we launch, but sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm not like a full length flowy top type of person, but I know there's a big demographic out there for girls. So it's like, I make pieces for me, but then I also make pieces for like all different women. And that's where like me and my lead designer, like I'll be like, ooh, let's put like a dramatic like butt scoop in the back. And she's like, this is maybe for like more of a mom. Maybe she's a little bit more conservative. And I'm like,
well, I think that's great because you've expanded beyond just
what I like.
Exactly. And I said that's how I focus on mine. And that's because I haven't gotten to the point yet. That's why I admire you, and what you've built is now that you are, anyone and everyone who is in the gym or at the gym can purchase from Buffbunny collection and feel amazing and feel confident in it. And I think it's just amazing what you've done. And I want to dive a little bit more, but actually it's the time in the show, the half point time, where we have the game show that some people, I don't know if love it or hate it, but it's a little intermission. Okay.
We love an intermission.
Now,
is there like a commercial going on while we're doing this?
There's a jingle going on. This is the Don't Be Sour game show. Now, I have 2 questions, and the last time I'm toning the drinking down a little bit, but at maximum, you will take up to 1 shot. Okay. So we have 2 questions.
Well, it's whiskey, so I could take a whole one.
Okay. We have two questions, half shot each, depending on if you get it right or wrong. So we'll ask both of them.
Oh, okay.
So each question is worth half of a shot.
Okay.
And if you get it right, I will take it.
Okay.
You excited?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, God.
First question. You ready? This is a spelling question.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Simple, okay?
Did I tell you I was homeschooled? Okay.
I don't know what that means. Okay, Heidi, spell the word rhythm.
RHYTHM.
God damn it.
Take a shot.
This is backfiring
Full
on every
shot. Full shot.
When I tried spelling this word, I put an E in it, like RYTHEM.
You remember I do play piano, right?
What does it have to do with spelling?
It's a rhythm.
All right, so I'm gonna keep it at that half.
Rhythm thing.
Okay. I'm canceling this game show because Christian got all of the questions right. Okay.
You did?
Yes. Heidi.
Okay.
Question number 2. These are different questions, by the way.
Okay.
Including the current, how many U.S. presidents have we had?
Including the current?
Correct.
Oh, God.
You have 5 seconds, Heidi.
Okay, wait. 53.
53. Close. 46.
What?
Actually, I think you're thinking of the states, or as
I
you like to
was
call them,
definitely
the
the lower
48. Now,
there's definitely 50 states, but
Is there? To be honest, I have no idea.
there's lower 48, Alaska, Hawaii.
What about, I never thought of it like that.
Yeah.
Oh my, what about Puerto Rico?
You know, they're
That's
like
not a state,
they're like
that's a-
the stepson.
that's a,
You forget about them.
A territory.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
Okay, now there is a bonus.
A bonus question. Oh,
Bonus
God,
question
I'm gonna get it
worth,
wrong and embarrass
worth
myself.
half of a shot more.
Okay.
Would you like to do the bonus question or
Let's
not?
do it.
You want to do the bonus
Yeah.
question? Okay. As accurately as possible, you need to make the sound that an injured cow would make. As accurate as possible.
Okay. God damn it.
Please elaborate.
Well, because they don't moo. God damn, I don't
I need
know.
a full attempt.
That was an attempt.
You're a hurt cow. I need a 5-second sound of a hurt cow.
I feel like they would almost sound like a horse. Like,
Please. Survey?
I got that right. That was easy.
Okay, she got it right. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Plus, you're bigger than me.
okay, we'll go the full one on me. Congratulations, you got
That's
one
not
of.
full, but okay.
These are double shots.
That doesn't. No, look.
What? Oh, God. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I hate everything. Cheers.
Cheers.
Congratulations.
Thank you. You left some in there. Are you gonna finish that?
I might die. You drink this by choice?
Yes. Good, right? It's a little vanilla notes.
Oh, I hated that more than anything in the whole world. Ugh, okay, that's enough of that. Heidi
2
said
questions right.
50 U.S. presidents.
I said 53.
You
It's
did?
embarrassing, yeah.
Yeah, you're way off. Samsonite. Okay,
You learn something new every day.
back to Buffbunny, and I
Okay.
want to kind of bring it back to Live Fit
Okay.
a little bit. When you were leaving, I'm assuming you were probably one of the top athletes. Because I mean, you were a big name, are a big name, and I feel like you were just probably one of their top athletes. Now, when you left, it was probably a big conscious decision of maybe. Did you have any guilt when you left this brand, or you were like, "Hey, this is just kind of my next step in life, and I can't like live my life,
Yeah.
focusing on another brand."
I would say like I did feel a little bit guilty, but at the same time, like Randall has built such a great company. I mean, even to this day, it's still doing so well. And this has been 6 years later. And he actually built like a great team of athletes.
Right.
I mean, he had Jeremy Buendia, who was like
He's a big bodybuilder guy, right?
I think Zeke?
Some sort of large muscle group.
Large muscle dude. And then, he had other great girls. Like actually, I think Ashley Flores was with them back in the
Right.
day. They've transitioned. They definitely have a good mixture of people on the team. But at first I was kind of like, but I think at the end of the day, it's like me just trying to balance both was kind of me just trying to still be a part of that brand. Cause like I love them so much. I love the pieces.
It's what kind of help you get to where you're at.
Yeah, I was kind of like, hey, I'm doing my own thing, but I'm going to do both for a while because I do love both of the brands. And they're both really different. It was really kind of fun to wear Buffbunny collection and then wear like a graphic tee over it or a graphic crop. And that's what I did love about Live Fit. It's like they were like the streetwear. It's like not only t-shirts, they had a lot of cool crops.
Yeah.
And that's why like I still
they
buy
have
some
a lot
of
of
their
cool
stuff.
stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I did feel like a little bit guilty, but that's why I try to hold on to both brands for so long.
Now, the reason I kind of brought that question up is because you have a lot of affiliates, sponsored athletes. I don't know what you call your. Some people call them different type of stuff. You have affiliates and you have athletes,
Bunnies?
correct?
Yeah.
Your bunnies,
Our
all
athletes,
all of your rabbits,
influencers.
Okay. So, are you ever worried as a business owner that any of your athletes will leave your company to start their own company? And what are your thoughts about that?
I am
And not just like, I support, do whichever you want to do. Like, what are your true thoughts if someone like wants to leave?
I mean, I am really like positive, you know, because like I've been there, so like I understand, and we've had a lot of great conversations with a lot of our girls. We're like, hey, like, do you think you'd ever start your thing? And when it comes to merch, I'm the first one to be like, let me help you. Like, do you need help making, you know, glute brands or home accessory equipment, or you want t-shirts? You want, like, I'm very much like, let me help you, like, create your merch or whatever you need, or do you need help with YouTube? So I love to like empower my girls. For me, even like with my internal team, I'm like, I understand that you guys might not be here forever, but while you're here, just give me your all, learn as much as you can. And whenever you go to your next job, I hope you're able to carry the tools that you learned while you're here to your next place. Because all in all, it's like, we're probably not going to have the same team as we do now in like 20 years.
No, I agree.
Not because I don't want them, but because, you know, changes happen and maybe someone has a baby and they want to be a stay-at-home mom now, or you never know where life takes you. So
no, I agree with you a lot. And I think that with my team as well, I kind of, you know, built something great with the team that I have, and a lot of me thinks I'm like, oh, they're never going to want to leave because it's the best place to work ever. And I realize people evolve and people kind of grow, not necessarily grow out of what they're doing, but I think some people want maybe to challenge themselves beyond of what they're doing by working with someone else, and maybe they want to work for themselves. Yeah. So I think it's good to always have that mindset, because again, it's like we came from working for someone else and then deciding to take the leap and the risk and kind of go in all of ourselves. So I think giving that back to the people that work with us, you kind of need to be like, I understand that at some point they might want to fly the coop and, you know, flap their own wings. And I as much as you maybe want to try to give a place and opportunity for people to grow as much in the company as possible and to have the coolest work environment, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we try to make sure we have an environment that the girls love. But at the end of the day, I'm like, I always tell them, like, you're going to love a lot of things here, but you're also not going to love a lot of things here. Because at the end of the day, it's like, it is work, it is a job. And I try to make it fun. I'm kind of like, okay, like, let's do like a team bonding thing. Or I try to have like fun perks, like having like catered lunch every day, because that's actually shown with studies.
You have catered lunch every day?
Catered lunch every day. But because we have a big team, a lot of creatives, and what I was noticing, myself included, is that we were just like working through lunch every day. Like, we don't have Alpha Eats right here like you do. Right. So it's like, I noticed a performance increase once I started doing catering lunches, because Google actually did a study on like, if you have food available for your employees, like their work performance goes up, because sometimes if they forget to bring their food or they're too busy to go get food, they won't eat, which then it's like, you know, your brain needs fuel. Right. So I actually did see like a good increase in the work performance doing that.
Okay. Well, that's great. That's something my team's probably going to watch this and be like, Max, why do we only have Pizza Fridays, Max?
I will say we used to do Monday through Friday. Now we just do like 3 times a week, because not all the girls eat the lunch. So now we're kind of like, okay, let's just do 3 times.
And you don't have like wasted food.
We had a lot of wasted food. Yeah. I don't like wasting food. So I was like, we're just going to do Monday, Wednesday.
Yeah, absolutely. So. And okay. So if people want to leave, you're totally supportive of that. And now kind of tying it back with how you started with Buffbunny, do you feel that every single person can kind of just build any sort of brand based on the information that they kind of like just pull out? Do you think people really need like a passion for it? What I mean is, let's say your top 3 athletes, whoever they are, that bring in the most amount of sales, whoever, they 3 bond together and decide, I want to create a clothing company. We see what Heidi's doing. We can emulate it. We know her fabrics. We know everything. Do you think that is enough to create a successful business? Or do you feel that people need a passion for what they're doing rather than just kind of maybe being motivated by seeing maybe the success that you've had?
That's a great question. It's going deep. Okay.
Yeah. So your top 3 athletes want to leave Buffbunny to create a company that would compete with you.
Okay. I mean, not going to lie. I mean, it would take a hit on the company, because if they're going to start their own thing, but at the same time, I think because we started doing athlete collaborations with some of the girls, and they're kind of noticing how much goes into it. And some, like, they were like, man, I wanted to do something of my own, but now seeing behind the scenes, because they saw everything, they were like, not a chance. It's so stressful. And I'm like, I don't want to scare you, but it is stressful.
No, it is.
It's a lot.
I think a lot of people don't understand the struggles of a clothing brand, because this might be an assumption, and maybe it's just me, but I'd like to say that every single launch by myself, you, Christian, any of our friends, I think every single launch that we have, there is a piece or pieces that is not how they were supposed to be. Whether that be
100%.
The fabric, the thinness, the color shade, the way that it fits. There's something wrong with every launch, and it's not because you're not putting all in. It's because
it's
shit
a
happens.
Variance. You have a variance of error with all the pieces.
But there's stuff that's just outside of that, just incorrect.
Yes. When that happened, so we did our Sugar Rush collection, and Felicia, we did the collection with her, and it was funny because she saw behind the scenes, and we were like, okay. I think one of the most popular tops that everyone was wanting. She's like, all these gossip pages are like, that's all they're talking about is this ivy crop top. And I was like, it was like 2 months out. I was like, Felicia, I got bad news. I was like, it came in defective. And she was like, So it's like, in order to get them sent back there, fixed, and come back with all the shipping delays, because this was earlier on in the year, it was impossible.
Right.
So I had to break her heart, and I was like, it's not going to make the launch. Like, we're going to have to get them all completely remilled, cut, resewn, then shipped over here by boat. So it's going to take a while.
Right.
So it broke her heart. Then I broke her heart because the Game Changer backpack we wanted, the colors, it's like there was a long wait list on all the materials, because it's like everything is made custom. So it's like, okay, these certain zipper colors, this, there was delays. I was like, it's not going to make the launch. And so she was kind of like, wow, is this how it normally is? I was like,
and it's
actually,
every day. It's frustrations. What do you think is the biggest struggle that you have with clothing? The more that it scales, because when you start with just a T-shirt or something, it maybe you have your own problems, but it's on a smaller level. Now that your company is massive, what is the most frustrating part about the clothing industry that you're in and that you experience on a consistent basis? That you're just like, not again, not again.
I would say the hardest thing is the more inclusive you are. I love it. The more sizes you add is very.
Why?
So people are saying, oh, extra, extra small to triple XL, you need to expand beyond that. And, some clothing companies, it's like they'll have extra small to XL and then they do plus size separate. And for me, I was like, it's important for me to have all of that in one. I don't want petite girls and curvier girls to feel separated. I want them to all feel like included.
Right. No, I understand that.
But the more I've dove into this, I'm like, I get it. I get why they separate that now. It's not because they don't want to be inclusive, but it's because the sizing variances between the different sizes, the grading is very different. So our team actually custom grades every single piece in our collection. It's really hard. So usually, you try something on like a size small model, right? That's usually what the industry does, is they go, okay. And that's because when it comes to the average size of a woman in the US is an XL, but the average purchasing size is actually smalls and mediums. And that's why there's an abundance of smalls and mediums in most companies. However, whenever you're trying to grade in between the sizes, if you make one little adjustment to an extra small, it scales all the way up to the triple XL. So if you make a little change to, let's say I'm like, ooh, I want it to be a little bit shorter.
Right.
It's going to be very, very short on the triple XL because you're using a fashion math to calculate it. But for us, that doesn't work. So most companies will take a small and then they'd be like, okay, fashion math to like make it fit everyone else.
Right.
But that doesn't always happen. So for us, we tried on an extra small, a medium, an XL, and a triple XL model for all of our pieces. And that's when we're like, oh yeah, because it looks really good on the triple XL model, but it looks terrible on the small model. However, the smalls and mediums make up 50 to 60% of the purchasing, the purchasing buyer in the US. So it's like, what do you do in that situation? It's so hard because you have to find like that perfect balance to like make sure it looks good on every single size, but also making sure that you're able to sell it to every single size.
Right.
It's complicated.
No, it's good. And what's interesting is your answer is so in depth, and I can tell you have such a passion for not just clothing, but your business, what you created, your baby,
my child.
Exactly. And you've created something that you should be super proud of, because not only is the Buffbunny collection something that is, I see it everywhere I go. It's such a different brand because you've really, I don't want to say you made a brand for like the girly girl, but you've
it's the girls that are very
you've
put
created
together.
this brand that it's just so different. It's so different. If you look at the marketing, it matches your bubbly, charismatic personality, and like like if there's something that I always say about you is that Heidi is one of the nicest, most genuine people I've ever met in my entire life.
Thanks, Max.
And I'm not gonna lie, when you first met her boyfriend is Christian Guzman. I'm assuming that people who've watched the podcast don't know everything. Christian, when he first started dating you, and after so many months, and I started interacting with you, right? My initial thought was the exact same of, wow, this girl's really, really nice, like really bubbly and just like a sweet, genuine person. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if this is just maybe my experiences with girls throughout my life. I was like,
you have trust issues.
No, I did. I don't anymore. But I thought that I was like, there's no way this is actually her. Like, give it 6 months. 6 months went by. Give it a year. A year went by. And you have just continued to like impress me with just like, you're authentic. You're very authentic. Thanks. And not only of like what people see when they meet you and that bubbly kind of feeling and that love that you give to the people that follow your channel, that support you, that you've changed their life of, whether it be by the clothes or the content that you've made, you're that exact same person of every interaction that I've ever had with you in my entire life. Wow. You're just like, I don't know.
I think you just had really bad luck with girls.
No, but it's not even with girls. It's just you as it's just, I've never met someone that truly is like, if I had 2 words to describe you, a kind soul.
Love that.
You're That's a kind beautiful. Soul. But I think what's amazing is you've built something so amazing, and I don't think you underplay it, but I don't think people understand how truly successful you are. Like actually. I want to dive into this. I want to ask you a question, and if you're not comfortable with answering it.
Okay,
but I'm going to go a couple tiers.
Okay.
But just to kind of paint a picture of what you've built. Okay. Let's say last year for Buffbunny, did you do over $5 million? Did you do over $10 million? Last one, did you do over $15 million? Wild. That is wild, Heidi.
Thank you.
And I'm sure the 15, I'm not going to dive in deeper because I've never heard you talk about money ever.
Yeah, I don't think I have. Even actually my parents don't know how much I make. I don't know. I'm just, I guess, like just coming from like a small town and like not having a lot of money growing up, I don't like to talk about money. And I guess for me, like me and my operations director were always like, we're like, okay, $1 billion business, but that's like our goal, right? But for me, it's not really like about the money. I don't know. I guess I just never really talked much about.
No, and that's something that's interesting is you've never been someone, I think, that you don't need someone to understand the financial success that you've had. People can, to know that you're doing great. And the fact that you've built something that last year, I have a feeling, I'm not going to super dive into it, I have a feeling that the number from last year is much more than $15 million. And that is, I just want to applaud you because that's so not only inspirational to me and hopefully a lot of the people that are listening. It's just, I think maybe people are going to see a different side of like you truly are that boss life that you're showcasing people the kind of the behind the scenes of being a CEO, but like you're doing it, like you're crushing it, Heidi.
Thanks, Mac.
Like absolutely, and it's just it's wild and it's super wild.
And you think I'm a kind soul the whole time. You haven't seen it when a late delivery comes right before lunch or after lunch.
Right. No, but I think that's cool. And I think that when you started dating Christian, I don't know if people maybe had a persona because at the time, not at the time, still, I think that both of you were at the top of your game. I think then and now you guys are extremely successful financially, but just in the fitness space, you're just absolutely crushing it because you've built a name for yourself that isn't built around another company. You built empires for yourself. And I think a lot of influencers nowadays, And it's interesting because, for example, you maybe have a lot of influencers. You want them to promote your brand so much, but I think some people are building their following so much because they want financial success, and they do so by promoting other companies because that's how they get the paycheck, that I think that sometimes they lose themselves in the other brand, and they're just a promoter of a brand rather than creating something for themselves. Yeah. Not saying you can't be a part of something and build up, but you have to understand when's the right time to step away and build something of your own. And prime examples are when Christian left Gymshark to start Alphalete, when you left LiveFit to start Buffbunny.
Yeah.
And I think it's a special type of person, and you're in a league of your own. And when you met Christian, in how long you been?
5.5 years. Oh
5.5 magical years.
Yeah.
When you met Christian, there was a lot of comments that I would see that maybe like Heidi is kind of like starting, like is going after Christian because he's at the top of the game, when they have no idea that you don't need a Christian. Like you don't need no man.
I did not need no man.
You did not only did you
I
not
wanted
need,
the man.
Yeah, not only did you not need a man, but you didn't need that. And I think people, because you're maybe not as transparent with your success that you've had, I think people underestimate you, maybe on some level.
I could see that. I think in the beginning, people were just kind of like, "Oh, she's going after him for his money." I was like, "What?"
You're like, excuse me, it's actually.
I was like, I'm doing well, and I have all my retirement all set up and all that stuff.
Not broke bunny, okay? You know, say.
We still say that in the office from your video.
You like that? But so when you started dating Christian, obviously Buffbunny and Alphalete were somewhat in their infancy, right? In the beginning stages, and I don't even want to downplay infant stages, because your infant stages probably looked a lot different than my infant stages, because I look up to you guys a lot in your success, and where you were a couple years ago is where I hope to be in a couple years, and you guys just inspire me a lot.
What do you mean? You just did 10 million bags of sour chips. Congrats, by the way.
Yeah,
I was like, what is this? What is this? And then Taylor was like, he sold 10 million bags. I was like, we did a dance for you.
But everyone thinks that I'm crushing it financially. In reality, I'm like, do you know the margins on a retail CPG?
Oh, yeah, consumables, yeah.
But okay, so you met Christian, Alphalete, Buffbunny in their infancy. A comment that I feel like still probably gets asked to this day is the wolf bunny in the room, right? What are your thoughts about, does Alphalete compete with Buffbunny? Does Buffbunny compete with Alphalete? Because everyone's asked this question and everyone's like, oh no, we still have our own market. But Christian is absolutely going after the female demographic. And you're 100% focused on the female demographic. So in a relationship where two people at the top of their game both have clothing companies that are targeting fitness people that are women, how does that work? How does that conversation come up, and what are your thoughts about it?
Honestly, I would say like we're actually very helpful for each other. Like he'll be like, hey, can you try the sample? Or what do you think of these colors? Like we're very much like what you call a color snob. We are very color snobs. Honestly, I'm probably more annoying than him. I'm like, that is like a shade off. That has a little bit more of a yellow undertone. Does not gonna look good with that. So we're very much like, we'll help each other, give each other advice.
Right.
But honestly, like we don't see each other's designs. Like I'm like a year and a half planned out. But sometimes it's helpful because if I see one of his designs he's working on, I'm like, yikes, that looks like another one I'm working on. So I'm actually going to like change mine a little bit, or vice versa. But at the end of the day, it's athletic wear. A pocket legging, like you're going to have that, or a crossover band legging, you're going to have that. So it's like there's a lot of staples that are going to be similar. I don't know. I guess when I look at the brands, it's like both are really cool, but they're still like quite different.
They are, absolutely. And how would you deal with anyone that would maybe make a comment of comparing the two brands in terms of, I guess, Buffbunny's way better than Alphalete. Alphalete's so much better than this. Like, do you ever have I guess arguments or anything like that in a business to business kind of way?
Sometimes people comment, they'll be like, maybe they're like bashing Alphalete, like, oh, blah, blah, like you're better than Alphalete. I'm like, I actually love both brands.
Right.
That's what I comment back. I'm like, I actually like both of the brands. They're both great. I don't know.
No,
I should probably be more competitive, but I'm like, it's a multi-billion dollar business. It's like hundreds of billions, right? I forget exactly, 200 billion? It's crazy right now. So
no, and it's wild. And I think a lot of people don't understand that you have to be competitive in the space, whatever you're in, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's not that you want to be you don't want to be better than every other single brand, but you want to be the best brand that you can be.
Yes,
exactly. And I think that everyone can kind of rise to the top, and it's something that Heidi has always been so helpful with is any sort of help that I need, whether it be, you know, modeling Ever Forward, modeling Sour Strips, you go out of your way to ensure that you can support the people that are around you. And it always makes me feel kind of bad because I can't rock Buffbunny.
I still Mona for modeling all the time. I feel bad for that. I'm like, can I take Mona to California for a couple days?
Yeah.
So that's all I was like, I feel like it's a good amount, you know? It's like we all help each other, which I think is really cool about our group. It
is. And I think, do you think there's a struggle with being so laser focused and high level in your company and dating someone that is also on that similar wavelength?
Honestly, not really. I would say just like, I guess in the past with like, honestly, all my previous relationships, I was always like the breadwinner. I was always the one that worked a lot. I was always the one that was more motivated, more driven. And I was always told, you work too much and you're just like working your life away. But I always loved what I did, no matter what I did. Whether I was like bartending or I was all the crazy random jobs I've had, I always gave it 150%. Like I love working and I love like working towards a goal. And so whenever I started dating Christian, if anything, I was like, go away. And like the way that he kind of baited me was talking about business. And that's when I was kind of like, okay. Then I started like kind of messaging him back. And for me, I was like, it was more attractive that he was just as, if not more. I was like, I'd never been with someone that was more driven, more motivated, more hardworking than I was. So I was like, okay. So when we started dating, I was like, this is kind of nice. Cause it's like, you'd be like, hey, like you want to come over
similar
and
things to talk about.
Let's work on our laptops together. I'm like, that's hot.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. So it was actually more fun, if anything, because it's like we would work really hard together, bounce ideas off each other, and then go on like our date night.
Right.
Which both of us are not like big. Like, I don't want to be like wined and dined at some fancy restaurant because I'd rather just have Chipotle or like something very simple. Like and Christian's the same way. He's like, I don't want to go to a 3-hour dinner. I'm like, perfect. Let's just stay home. Or like, let's go to like some like quick in and out place. So I think that's why we vibe together so well.
Do you feel that being such on like a high stress level job that you're at, running a company, trying to build, I keep saying empire, but it truly is, and being with someone who also has these same goals and mindsets as you, do you feel that there's ever going to be a time where you can like both kind of step away or are you always on 24/7 and it like your relationship is built around business talks and business rather than maybe some people who get off work and kind of can completely disconnect? Because I have a feeling that when you and Christian interact in the evening, it's probably work.
Actually, well, yes, I feel like it used to be, which honestly I'm the worst at because he'll come home like, oh my God, what'd you do today? What'd you work on? What'd you play with? And he's like, I don't want to talk about it. Sometimes his days are very stressful. Sometimes he has more fun days. So lately, but we've been trying not to talk about work. Or if we do, it's like only the positive sides. We try not to, I guess like bitch and complain as much about stuff.
Still do though. I
still do. Like I'll be like, I was like, tell me the drama, tell me the tea, what happened? And he's just kind of like, you know, so.
Your legging sizes came in and they were what?
They were what shade of blue? I'm like, ooh, I want to know. But I guess like over time, like he doesn't want to relive that over and over and over again. So now it's like he comes home, I'm like, let's draw a bath, let's hang out, let's talk about our favorite shows. So we try not to talk about work as much.
Wait. So did you say draw a bath?
Yeah, we love baths every night.
Draw. I've never heard anyone say
draw a bath.
Would you like to draw a bath?
I don't know why I said it like that.
That sounds.
I think it's a crown. It's just like it's bringing out the fancy in me.
Okay.
I think Christian says that. I don't know.
Well, I think I think it's amazing. I think people look at you and Christian as two completely separate, successful moguls, if you will, who have kind of, combined powers. And I think you've made it work. And I think that's super inspirational to a lot of people, not only the businesses that you've built, but also the fact that you can balance a a healthy relationship, a happy relationship with someone that also is on this high kind of stress level. And it's just super cool. And I'm very much glad to consider both you and Christian and a lot of people in our circle as some of my closest people. You know, my squad.
Your homies, your squad, your sour strippers.
Yeah, exactly. And I just, I'm super thankful that you came into my life as a friend, because I look up to you in a lot of ways because of just what you've created. And I think it's super inspirational.
I feel the same way about you.
Yeah. Every podcast, both podcasts, I feel like I'm just like fangirling over the other person, but it's true.
We do the same thing though. Like, did you hear that? Was it Christian's video when all of the friends were like, if you could trade companies with any company, we didn't plan it. All of us were like sour strip.
Yeah. No,
I was like, wow.
Yeah. People just don't know this. People don't know the struggles that I go through with on sour strip. So you think it's all,
I mean, consumables are, I would say, one of the hardest things.
It absolutely is.
A lot of insurance, just all the back end stuff sounds like
Speaking about talking about, consumables or kind of other businesses.
Is it a whiskey time again?
It's not no, we're actually wrapping up right now.
Oh, okay.
We've probably come to like the hour. I kind of want to ask you kind of like a final question of, are there anything else? Are there any other kind of business ventures that you have in the future? I think a lot of people, when are asked this question, maybe just kind of say, oh, you never know, I'm working on some other stuff. But like, truly, are you working or on something else? Or are you so laser focused on Buffbunny that is like your true calling and you're putting all of your time into that while still moonlighting social media influencing?
The whole moonlight vibe. So yes, I'm actually working on two things right now. One thing I can't talk about. I mean, it's very like far off, but it's something I want to do for a while. The other thing is I bought a piece of property. So I'm building like a new headquarters for Buffbunny Collection. With that, I'm actually going to be taking our current headquarters and turning it into like a content house. So it's something
like
really
a hype house. Can I be in it?
Yeah, sure. You want to go there? You'll be like the only guy. It's going to be like lots of girls.
I know to well.
Just, okay. You can go TikTok with them. But we're actually gonna be putting on Peerspace. This is something I don't see a lot of people taking advantage of people that have like a home. Like you can put on Peerspace and just rent it out for like 100, 150 an hour.
Peerspace?
Peerspace? You don't know what that is?
I don't know what that is.
Peerspace, where you can rent out like a home, a studio.
Never heard of it.
Where do you find places?
I've never heard of. Is that a website? What is that?
Yeah, a Peerspace. PEER.
No, I get what it is, but I've never heard of that I've never. Anyway, keep going.
Like if you need to rent a studio in Houston, what do?
I Google studio in Houston.
Wow, you're about to be mind blown. If you go to peerspace.com, this is not sponsored.
I didn't even know what that is.
Like you can rent the coolest places. It's like you put Houston, the date, and it'll say everything that's available.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like.
And so you want to create that as an extra stream of revenue.
What I'm going to do with the headquarters now is I have so many cool props, like all the candy gym stuff. I'm going to have like 5 different themed rooms, and then people can go for like 100, 150 an hour. They can do like baby photos, like family photos. They can do content for their businesses. They can do it for just like lifestyle content. We also have like a paper studio in the garage. So it's like a one-stop shop. They can do whatever they want.
The whole studio is built out of paper.
Yeah, exactly. And then also there's like a full kitchen. And then whenever our affiliates are in town, we can just like house them there and they can all collaborate and like make 6 content.
And so I didn't know any of this.
Yeah, I haven't actually talked about it a lot. So surprise.
No, that's super cool. And it's amazing seeing you like stem off of doing what you're doing and almost adding more to your plate to handle.
I have help.
Yes. Exactly. But no matter whether you delegate out, there's still a lot of people think that when you start a business and
people just take over,
you have stresses that everyone's like, just delegate. When you delegate, you're now needing to not micromanage, but you now need to oversee what they're overseeing.
Yes.
And there's still tasks you need to do. It's not like you put something off your plate and you don't think about it for 6 months. It's not like that.
Yeah, you still have to get check-ins. I will say that I did hire an operations director with like 10 years of experience as a CFO, and she's been life-changing for me.
Really?
Like she does update me just once a week on like a bunch of like little things that she's like, I didn't want to bother you like on Monday about this, so I just did this, and here you go. And I'm like, cool. So she tells me what happened, the solution, and then moving forward, and it's over. I'm like, okay. Not to say that like I just don't do anything all day. Obviously, like, I have all my other departments and everything that I help run, and like emails and messages and Slack. Like I still do a lot, but I would say that's something that I wish I would have done a couple of years ago.
Something that I look to you and Christian and a lot of other people. I say you and Christian because you're, in the building, right? Yeah. The fact that you have so much structure to your companies, like the fact that you call things departments. I don't have department. I got that room over there and a room over there.
Hey Mona, hey Oz.
Yeah, but that's just it's super of like where I want to be, and it's cool seeing people kind of already elevated like their business, and I'm super excited to kind of see what the future holds for you, and I'm gonna try to assist you in any way that I can, and support my friends, and it's just amazing, and I want to thank you for being on the show and kind of diving deep because there's a lot of questions. I did not know a lot about you. We've never really had this type of business conversation.
Oh, this is fun.
Yeah.
Can I come back?
No, I need to because similar with Christian, I wrote down a whole bunch of notes and there was a lot that I wanted to dive in on really just.
Can I see what's on there?
No, you can't see what's on here.
Okay, V2.
I wanted to dive in a lot on like social media on kind of from a female's perspective of how the industry has changed, the content that you make, kind of like maybe trends that you see other people doing that you think maybe are flawed or like kind of like they shouldn't be doing that because it's not going to pan out, kind of what I don't know. I had a lot more on the social media. I'm glad we got to dive more into the business stuff, and I learned a lot.
Me too.
I feel inspired. I'm going to go after this. I'm going to now Oz's office is the creative department. Creative department 1.
Creative department.
Corey's creative department 2.
Mona can be operations department.
Operations department. Yeah.
Okay, I know it sounds cooler than it is, but just so you know, some of our departments only have one person. So.
It's really just a fancy way to make it sound have a lot more structure.
It's exactly. You want to like separate people and then they can connect. But yeah.
Okay, but to in final conclusion, where can people find you on the internet?
On the internet, you can find me on the Instagram. It's Buffbunny. Mm-hmm. You can find me on the YouTube, Heidi Summers, and you can find me on the TikTok.
Big TikTok girl.
I don't know my TikTok handle. I think it's Heidi Summers.
You don't know your own social media handle?
Can't look. I think it's Heidi Summers.
Okay. Well, if they just search Buffbunny or Heidi Summers, you're going to find
something will come up.
Make sure you check Heidi out on all of her social media. Check out clothing company, Buffbunny Collection. I think it stands apart in its own unique way, in a magnificent way compared to every other clothing brand that I've seen. You're building something great, and I'm excited to be a firsthand witness on it.
Thanks, Max.
Absolutely. So without further ado, thank you so much for tuning in to Don't Be Sour. My brother, who's a big podcast guy, told me to say these things. Make sure you like, comment, leave a review on your favorite podcast platform, whether you're listening or viewing, and subscribe. I don't know. We're on everything. So I don't know.
Follow everywhere.
Thanks, guys. See you in the next one. Fist bump.
You have like an ending shot?
You want to do another shot?
I was going to do a half.
All right. I got to think of one more question.
This is my favorite podcast.
I have to go. You know what I'm doing after this, Heidi? I'm going to smash a watermelon with a baseball bat.
Okay. Just a half, yeah.
Yeah.
After this, I'm probably like, Christian, can you take me back to the office?
Christian, help. Oh, yours is a little more. That's all right. Okay, yep, you're pouring. Okay, now mine's a little bit more.
Cheers.
Wait, final
Congrats on the new podcast. And 10 million.
10 million
Sour
bags sold.
strippers. Cheers. One day you will learn how to take whiskey like a man. That is not today.
Do you think it's not manly to not like whiskey?
No. Yeah, it's cool. Me and Christian started dating and he would just get lemon drops every time.
I'm not gonna lie to you. One little final story, if anyone's still listening. We were it might have been San Antonio. Christian and I were visiting. We were out with a bunch of your friends. Your sister was in town. Like you had like a lot of your friends.
Okay, I think
Jessica
I remember
and
that.
everyone was there.
This is my birthday, right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
We were at some sort of country bar. Heidi is a big shot person. Heidi's the person that every 10 seconds you're turning around and she's like there again with like a plate of shots, and you're like, what
I
are you doing?
have another round.
It was crazy. I've never seen Heidi sloppy.
No,
You've seen me sloppy a lot.
Yes. Yes, I have.
And I don't know if Heidi's just like tossing the shot. She's like, ha ha, blah, and like tossing the shots behind her or something.
I just don't take them.
But
No one notices.
You handle it very well. But anyway, you got an entire round. I believe it was Crown, some sort of disgusting whiskey. And I took it, and it was one of those things that my mouth started salivating. I started getting that feeling.
That's why you gotta breathe. Oh, you threw up.
I immediately went to the bathroom and threw up.
No.
Mm-hmm. It was like the second time I ever met Heidi, and I was like, thanks for the shot. And I was like,
that's so bad.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
Oh my gosh. Oh no.
To be honest, I'm gonna go throw up right after this show anyway. All right. Thank you guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Holla back at your boy.
Bye.
Peace.
Drink whiskey and don't be sour.
Don't be sour.